Hi, this is Pat McDonald, your host for Vote for Vermont, where our tagline is listening beyond the soundbites. Eric LaMontagne is here with me. Thank you, Eric, for joining us.
Yeah, of course.
Yep. Eric is the Executive Director for Campaign for Vermont and a co-sponsor of this show. Thank you. And our special guest today is somebody who knows half of the people I know down in the Valley. Eric Friedman is the Executive Director of the Mad River Valley Chamber of Commerce. Welcome.
Well, thanks for having me, Pat.
Yeah, this is great.
Eric.
You come from an awesome area.
Yes, we do. We're a lucky boy.
Excellent. So can you tell us a little bit about your background before we get started about the Mad River?
Sure. Well, I come from a long line of great Jewish skiers from New Jersey.
First off. Excellent.
And I came to the Valley after college, after working down in Boston for a little while, and I moved up to Vermont mostly for skiing. And I'm a teacher. I'm a high school social studies teacher by trade, believe it or not. Never actually did it. But I kind of fell into the ski business about 25 years ago. And I was one of the original shareholders in the Mad River Glen Cooperative the very first year. And I made the mistake of going in to talk to the general manager that first year and said, hey, I really think you're missing the boat on some public relations stuff. And have you ever, who's sending out press releases and doing stuff? He's like, well, nobody, and if you think you can do it. I'm like, okay, so I ended up volunteering to do that and helping out, and then he hired me, and within a couple of months I had a full-time job, and at the end of the season, he's like, can you work this summer and do that? I said, sure, and 24 years later, I had become the longest-standing marketing director of any ski area in Vermont, which was pretty cool, 24 years at Mad River, and I was looking for some new challenges, and the position of the executive director of the chamber came up, and I felt like I should have known better because I had been on the board of that organization for about 12 years, and I was running the marketing program for the chamber for about 6 of those 12 years, so I knew it intimately. And like I said, I figured I should have known better than take the job, but I ended up taking it anyway.
A little bigger than breadbasket, I'm sure. What are the towns that are in the Mad River?
Now, that's a good question.
Can we say
geographically speaking? Well, Fayston, Waitsfield, and Warren are the traditional ones. I think when most people think of the Valley, but as a Chamber of Commerce and geographically speaking, we include Granville, which is the headwaters of the Mad River, and Moortown and Middlesex, because it is the watershed, the Mad River watershed, and it goes the headwaters in Granville all the way down to the confluence of the Winooski down in Middlesex.
Excellent.
And we might throw Duxbury in there too.
Oh, no, that'd be nice.
Well, our high school is there. That's why. In seriousness,
Yeah.
the high school is in Duxbury. So.
Been to the Warren Parade more than once.
Oh yeah,
that
once or twice.
With Dr. Butch.
No, Dr. Butch well.
Me too.
I had him in my TV show.
Oh, did you
Yes,
really?
I did.
You have a TV show?
I did at Mad River Glen. We did.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah. Mad River Glen today. Award-winning, as a matter of fact.
Oh, we're working on that.
All right. We're actually going to be getting an award on the 30th in Portland, Maine. Mad River Valley Television nominated our show for an award, and they won. It was the public access best talk show in New England.
No kidding.
I was really excited.
Are you still doing that now? You have a lot to do to make sure you level keep the bar.
I was going to say, I feel like we're being judged now.
Yeah, no, you are. No, I'm kidding.
You'll jump in.
But public access is awesome, though, right?
Oh, I love
it's fantastic. And
we get picked up by 15 different stations around, and the guy from the Mad River Glen, he's got a lot of hair. Who's that guy? He's
from Mad River Glen, from the ski area?
No, from the public
Tony?
access. Yeah, Tony.
Yes.
He's wanted us to come down and meet everybody, and I haven't done it yet. I should.
We should do it.
Yes, we should.
Definitely should do it.
Yeah.
So what's special about the Mad River?
Well, the Valley. I mean, you assume you mean the Valley.
The Valley.
The Mad River Valley is really, and I think any chamber person is going to say, wow, where I'm from is really special. And I think, most people probably really believe that too, but I think the Mad River Valley is a very unique place. And there's some warts with it, but there's a lot of amazing stories and amazing people there. It's attracted an incredibly diverse group of people. And you have your old-time Vermonters there, and you still have farms there, and you still have hardware stores that sell hardware, and things like that, which we're really thankful for. But it's attracted between the tourism and the beauty and the skiing and all the natural outdoor stuff that there is to do, it's attracted just this very diverse group of people that might not have ever been brought together for any other reason. And I think what really sets the valley apart is the people. And yeah, we have this beautiful landscape, and we have the ski areas, and we have a beautiful river, and it's a wonderful, beautiful place. There are lots of beautiful places in Vermont. And I'd like to think ours is one of the most beautiful, but I think it's really the people that set it apart. And as as I've come into this position at the Chamber, it's really come to the fore. You can really see the stories that people have and the kinds of people, and I realize, like, this is what I have to do to promote this place.
So do you consider it, is it just a tourist area, or what are the real economic drivers for that area?
I mean, obviously the ski areas, Mad River Glen and Sugarbush, are big economic drivers there and have been for a long time. And if you study the history of the Mad River Valley, it was a pretty desolate place in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and before the ski industry came, it was a dying farm community. And the ski areas really brought it back to life and gave it a new lease on life in a lot of ways. And I think the old timers and the Vermonters really embraced this new opportunity and they took advantage of it. Since then, the world's changed a lot. And I think the area, the skiing and the recreation and the outdoors and the good schools and the quality of life have attracted people for other reasons. So I think we have a nice mix in the valley. Sure, the ski areas are important, but we're also a bedroom community for Burlington and a bedroom community for Montpelier. We have a lot of people that are involved in not necessarily direct tourist-related businesses. As I mentioned earlier, I'm really proud of the fact that we still have working family farms in Vermont, in the valley. We have hardware stores, Kenyon's and Bisbee's, and that still sell hardware.
Yeah, what's the one that's right across from Lawson's? What's the name? Is that the lumber yard right across?
Oh, Allen Lumber.
I was just in there with a buddy of mine.
Champlain Valley, Champlain Telecom.
Oh, Waitsville Champlain Valley Telecom. I mean, the great
and you've got
employer
Small
there.
Dog Electronics, which has won every award known to whoever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great company.
Yeah, and again, these people are living there, and the reason that they've been attracted there and starting businesses, and there's so many people also that are doing God knows what from home. There's so many people that are working remotely for big companies that are consultants and doing other things. And as a chamber, one of the things we're really trying hard to do is quantify those people and figure out who they are and what they're doing and what they mean to our economy. But to answer your question, I think whether knowingly or not, we have a very diverse economy, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because do you know what your population swells to in the wintertime?
It's really hard to tell.
They come down from South America. A lot of people used to come when I lived there from South America, and I don't know whether it's 20,000 or who knows.
It's really hard to tell because each of the towns, Waitsville, Warren, Fayston, have about 1,400 people each, and Moortown's about the same. Duxbury and Granville, it's 5,000 or 6,000, 7,000 people total. And it's really hard to tell how many people are there. Sugarbush on a good day will have 14,000 people there.
Right.
So, Mad River has 1,500. I mean, so you probably have 30,000, 40,000 people are in town on a really busy day. But it's hard to tell because we don't have a good handle on the Airbnbs and the VRBOs and things like that. So it's hard for us to necessarily know what second homeowners are there versus renting and things like that. So,
I'm sorry, you said VRBO?
Vacation rental by owner. It's it's similar to Airbnb kind of a thing. But that's very prevalent, and it's had a huge impact on our business community and the number of people that are there and what it's doing with regard to housing and whatnot.
Yes, you've got theater. I'm just trying to, and the big picture is just the best. That food there.
Yeah,
and I've been to some events where people have bought the whole place, and it is amazing. Yeah,
and we're lucky, and for a community of our size to have a movie theater is not normal. And the fact that we have one, it's because of the tourism. And I think that we have a lot of the aspects of our business, various business sectors, that we have because of the tourism, and we have the traffic that our regular normal population wouldn't warrant it. So it enhances what we have. So while we have a nice rural community, We have a lot of the things that go along with a resort community, and a lot of the problems that come along with a resort community as well.
And that farmers market is truly one of the best
Yeah,
in
it's
this
great.
state. Have you ever been down there?
haven't been to that
You
one.
have to. It's fabulous.
Yeah.
And there's always music and entertainment, and I don't know, people are sitting and eating and gabbing, and it's really
Yeah, and it's a real great community
Yep.
gathering place,
Yep.
and a great heck of a dog show too.
Oh, wait, oh, everybody's got.
Everyone's got their dog
yes,
there.
they do.
I'm going to bring my cat one of these days on the
So
leash.
we were talking economics. How do you look at the valley compared to other areas around Vermont? I mean, is it's strong economically? Is it struggling a little?
I think we mirror the state generally,
Yeah.
and because of the fact that I think we do have such a diverse economy compared to some tourist towns, if we have a bad ski season, it hurts our economy
Right,
for sure.
right.
But we're not 100% dependent upon it. So I think that's good. I think we have a lot of the same issues that communities across the state
Right.
have. You know, I know our local businesses are always crying about how it's hard to fill positions in the
really?
jobs, especially
Oh.
in the service sector. You know, the affordability of housing is
high.
a big
It's
concern.
high in the valley.
It is high.
Yeah.
But you know, you look around and it's worse in other places.
Right.
So it's all relative.
Do you have homeless issues in the valley?
Yeah, I think it's hidden and you don't necessarily always see it, but it's there.
Yeah.
It's absolutely
Right.
there, and there's people that are food insecure, and it's there. And I think we have this kind of gold town image, and in some ways it's true.
Yeah, that food insecurity always bothers me. John Sayles is coming on the show in a couple of weeks, and it's 1 out of every 4 Vermonters deals with food insufficiency. And you look at their homes, the McMansions, and you don't know, because the first thing people cut back on is food, because you can't come back on paying the bills, so they just cut back on food. And that always bothers me, that there's the agricultural state that we are, and we've got this issue. So do you get involved in that with the chamber?
Not really. We're a very small organization, and we try to help out wherever we can, but there's 1.5 employees. It's myself and Ginger, who's a half-time
Right.
person, and we really are trying to stay focused on what it is that our mission is. And
Yeah.
our mission is to help the economic vitality of the valley,
Right.
and that's what we do. And if it doesn't fall under that, we say no.
Well, may I say, and this thing, we're going to show it while you're talking, but your strategic plan, it was done in 2017,
Yep.
and it covers to 2019.
Yep.
And it is, I'm not going to show it because they're going to put it on now, but it's fabulous. I've never seen a strategic plan put in a graph form like this before. It's probably been done and I've just never seen it, but I think it's fabulous. And you very clearly talk about destination marketing, brand equity, and unity, and I'd love it if you would just talk about what those mean to what you do. Because
Well, the first thing I have to say is, I was so fortunate to come into this job when I did, because Jasmine Bigelow,
She was great.
who was my predecessor, and Ginger, who's still with us at the chamber, she's our membership services coordinator, did an amazing job in building this foundation for this organization.
Yeah.
And I think in a lot of ways, chambers are a thing of the past in a lot of places. You ask a 20-year-old or a 25-year-old what a chamber of commerce is, they might not be able to tell you,
Right.
like seriously.
Really?
And our organization in 2017 went and really took a good look at who they are and what they're all about, and why they need to be, what they need to do to remain relevant.
Right.
A lot of chambers of commerce went away with the whole healthcare issue, because that was the main reason for a lot of people joining the chambers, was to have access to the chamber health insurance program. When that went away, there was not a lot of compelling reasons for some chambers to exist. And the Mad River Valley, that board of trustees with Jasmine and Ginger, they took a very hard look at what they were about and how they could be relevant, and they were very courageous. They turned on their head how the organization funds itself, how it works, and there was no way that they had any they had no way of knowing if that was going to be successful. And they went from, most chambers of commerce had dues based on how much revenue you did, how many rooms in your inn, how many tables in your restaurant or bar, and what that really does is encourages business owners to lie to you,
Great.
or not grow,
Right.
which is kind of a crazy thing to be promoting.
Right.
So they turned it on their head and they said, not every business is the same. Not every business wants the same thing out of the chamber. Some people want just to be a member and to support the community. Other people are looking for marketing help. Other people want networking opportunities. There's all these different things. And what they've done is they built up a tiered system of membership. So you can join for as little as $379 a year, and you can be all the way up to $20,000 a year, depending on what it is that you want out of the organization.
That's great.
And Jasmine and Ginger worked really, really hard with the direction of the board. They hired a consultant to do this. And from someone that was on the board previously, and then I came back and realized what they were doing, I was so blown away by it. And frankly, it's the reason I took the job.
That's great.
Is because that foundation had been laid. And what they needed when I took over was to someone that knew the community to go out and really pitch
Well,
it.
your board must really roll up their sleeves, though, and help.
They do.
Because
We have
you
a-
can't
we-
possibly do all this stuff with just you and Ginger. I mean, this is incredible.
It's a phenomenal. It is a phenomenal board, and it's a big board. We have 12 members, and what's great is they represent various sectors within our business community. We have people that own restaurants, we have people who own lodges, we have the ski people, obviously. And what's also cool, we have representation from second homeowners that are individual
That's a big
members. We
issue,
have
right.
people that are individual members, we have retailers. So everyone brings a little bit different perspective to the table, and I think that's really valuable.
That's great.
And I think the other really key thing is the support of the big players, the Waitsville Champlain Valley Telecom and Sugarbush and Mad River Glen, and the big businesses like that are really Cabot Creamery is in the valley. I mean, it's a huge one. Again, which I think people don't necessarily realize is in Waitsfield, that their corporate offices.
Where is Cabot?
Their corporate offices are in Waitsfield.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Mm-hmm.
Shame on me. Huh. Where are they located in town?
At the business park, the Mad River Park.
Yep.
Where Kingsbury's construction is.
Oh, yes, I know Mr. Kingsbury.
Yeah, so when you go into town and there's the airport road and right between the North Basin and the airport road, and just go right up in there, and it's awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, there's so many little, and again, when I took this job, one of the things I realized is I started going to businesses that I'd never darkened the doorstep of, and some like women's clothing stores and things like that. But other businesses I just became so aware of, like, wow.
Tons of artists in there,
so
too.
many artists.
Yeah, down by the covered bridge, there's a whole bunch of artists on display
Yeah,
there.
there's the
It's
Artisans Gallery, which
Right.
has been, I think they're celebrating their 25th year in business.
wow.
Right in town there, and that's where we have a visitor information booth or office is.
Yeah.
That's where my office is, right on Bridge Street.
Oh, nice. Perfect.
So we're right amongst it all,
That's great.
right in the thick
Good
of
job.
it.
So I'm always curious when you're a small organization, you only have as much time as you can give, you only have as many resources. It's very good to always have a really broad and diverse constituency. But the flip side of that is sometimes you get a whole litany of directions that people want you to go. Like one person says, I'm a member and I want you to go this, and I'm a member, I want you to do this.
Yes.
What's your process for prioritizing and choosing where you spend your energy?
It's really easy because of the foundation that was built before I got there, and I am so thankful for them. And I'm really appreciative of the fact that you
Oh, I
recognize
just
it.
think this is amazing.
It is, and like I said, it's the reason I took the job is when I went there. So when I have people, and I like to refer to it as mission creep.
Yeah,
and,
yes,
and
that's exactly what it is.
That when it doesn't fall under that very narrow purview of what it is that they want me doing. When they hired me, they said, "This is it. It's marketing our region." It is
The brand equity,
the brand
right?
equity and leveraging the brand equity and the unity and
Right.
bringing the community together. So when someone says, "I have this idea," I say, and it doesn't fit with them, that's a great idea.
Right.
And if we had more resources, that's something we might be able to tackle. But until we can,
Great.
we're going to focus here, and I hope you can appreciate that, and help us build membership, because if we have more membership, and we had a broader base of support, there are more things that we can do. And that's how I turn it around. And most people really buy into it.
Yeah. And do you find, do you do any State House lobbying?
We don't. We don't, again, that's one of those things that's not necessarily my strength. It's not something, I'm fairly politically aware, but I get a lot of information, and I've only been there 3 or 4 months now, clearly getting a lot of information from our business owners and what interests them and what it is that they're concerned about. And I've had meetings with both of our representatives and met with them, and fortunately Adam Gresham lives in town too, and I have the opportunity to talk to him. Just,
Well, speaking of taking on a job that's bigger than a breadbasket, Adam used to be a legislator, and now he's the finance director for the state. So keep him busy. He was an owner of Sugarbush.
Yes.
Is he still?
I think he still is.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's cool.
So it is really important to keep people focused on what it is that we're trying to do, and because it's really important. And then when you look at it from a more of a macro perspective, what we're doing in terms of the investment in the Valley, there's arguably no better return on investment than tourism marketing. And if we can get extra, for every person that we bring there, it's extra dollars that we're bringing into the Valley. And while that might not go directly to the lawyer and the accountant or the gas station or whatever business it is, it does trickle down at some point. Or, the fact that someone comes skiing there for the first time, or comes up for a wedding, or does whatever, comes up to the Valley, and they're turned on to this place, and that's where our residents come from. That's why people move there. They get turned on to the place through recreation. They get turned on to the place for whatever reason. So it's not always a direct impact, but it's really important to understand that. And I think most of our business owners, no matter what sector they're in, I think they really grasp the fact that we are interconnected.
So when you say brand equity, what is the Mad River Valley brand?
Well, that's...
What are you trying to sell, I guess, to present to people?
It's this really unique, pristine place, and it's an authentic place. Right. And I think that over the years, there's been an identity crisis in the Valley, in that we're stuck in between Stowe and Killington, and we're in this area kind of in between.
Right.
Instead of having one dominant ski area, we had 2. We actually had 3 at one point. Because Mount Ellen was Glen Ellen.
Yes,
there were 3 separate ski areas at one point. And it was referred to by a lot of people as the Sugarbush Valley. And when American Ski Company owned, and again, I've been here to see all of this, and I was working at Mad River when this happened, they came in and really saw the value in promoting the Mad River Valley, not just Sugarbush, that it's broader than that. And when Win Smith purchased Sugarbush from American Ski Company, he embraced that wholeheartedly, which we're so thankful for. And now, for going on 15 plus years, maybe closer to 20 years, we came up with that logo, our Mad River Valley logo, that one.
Right.
And that's what we've been promoting for over 15 years, and hammering it home, and letting our business owners use that graphic to create this image of our community. And we're always trying to build that brand equity, and with those words attached to it, it's the uniqueness, it's the authenticity of it, and all the quirks that go along with the Valley. I mean, I think we acknowledge those quirks, and that
quirks make you unique, stand out.
Yeah, that's great. I heard you have a new noodle shop in town.
A new what?
A new noodle shop in town.
Oh my God, Stoke Roman.
Is it supposed to be great?
It is great.
I'm taking Rob and Jen there in a week or 2 for their respective birthdays.
Well, and you'll soon have a new tap room as well with the
collaborative brewing.
What is that guy's name that's opening it?
John Morris?
Well, I know John, and there's, I was just emailing with him the other day, but anyways,
Not Sean Lawson.
No, the collaborative brewing guy.
Yeah.
Ryan something.
And what's cool is that Lawson's, everyone talks about Lawson's, and we're so fortunate to have Sean and Karen building that facility where they did. I've known Sean for a long time. I worked with him at Mad River for a long, long time, and he was a ski patrolman. Like people, I remember before he even brewed beer, and he could have built that thing anywhere, and he wanted to do it in the Valley because it was important to him and his family.
That's great.
And we're so thankful of that. And it's a great example of investment in our community. But what's even better is the fact that Collaborative opened up, the fact that Stoke Ramen is opened up.
Right.
We have a pizza place opening up in town. There's new businesses cropping up. We have a new clay studio, Blockhouse Studios, this new membership clay studio, which I bring them up because it's not a tourism business. It's a membership. You can, they do classes. It's not a tourism business. It is aimed at locals. And it's just so amazing to see the investment in our community across various sectors. And so we're really hot on the future of the Valley.
And Lawson's does something wonderful. They sort of adopt a nonprofit
They do a lot of things that
for
are
the
wonderful.
month, and then they give some of the percentage of the profit to the nonprofit.
Yeah, they don't allow tipping, and so if you add a tip to your bill, all that money goes. And every 2 weeks, it got to the point where there was so much money that they changed it to every 2 weeks instead of every month.
Oh,
so
no
there's
kidding.
a
I
new
didn't know
charity.
that.
And I believe at Mad River Path, where Ross Sexton, the Mad River Path had was the beneficiary as of last week, and I think they raised somewhere in the like $12,000.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Which the very first one that they gave.
Prevent
money
Child
to.
Abuse Vermont was one of them, because
It
I was on their board.
and the other one was the Mad River Valley Food Shelf.
Oh, perfect.
And the gift that they got from Lawson's was a transformational gift. I mean, it was not, they're used to getting $100,000 donations. I mean, this was a 5-figure donation.
Wow.
And it was, like I said, it was transformational for them. It enabled them to do things that, they would never have been able to do before.
What a great service.
And they're bringing people into town, and there's new people bringing into town, and they're shopping in other places, and they're staying in places, and they're discovering all the other things that there are to do in the Valley. So it's really
when you have
thing.
that kind of that anchor for the community, gives reason for other things to start popping up around it.
Yep.
So we love optimism, but let's talk challenges a little bit too. So what are you seeing as your kind of top 3 challenges, and are they unique?
When you say for me, you see them for our business community.
From your perspective of the business, interacting with the business community.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear. It's affordability.
In terms of what it costs to open a business, or
in terms of what it costs to live here, and housing specifically. The Valley, it's tough. I mean, people, and employment is the other one, but they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
They can't hire people because the people they want to hire can't afford to live there. So those two big things really kind of go hand in hand. I think those are the 2 biggest things that I hear from business owners. I'll hear some people, complain about regulation, Act 250, things like that. But for every one of those people that I hear that complain about that, I'll hear someone say, our Valley is still so nice because of it. Right. And it's not perfect, but it saved us.
Well, you had some issues with the water, didn't you, with the ski areas? Maybe I'm thinking too far back.
That was Killington.
Oh, that was Killington.
Yeah,
where you couldn't take the water out. They had a limit of how much you could use. But
well, no, and that happened at Sugarbush as well.
Yeah.
And back when American Ski Company was getting all their permitting for all of the hotels, and then when I believe if my history is correct, Wynn kind of inherited those permits, but they're always working with the state in all of their things that they're doing in terms of Act 250, and there's definitely a lot of issues, but. We also look at it that the community has been protected in a lot of ways.
I'm surprised when you said you don't go up to the legislature, because there are things that must impact your businesses, or do they go up? And
I don't think that, I don't think they necessarily do. And like I said, I came on here in the springtime, and I have not been, that's, it's just, so that's going to be coming up. Again, I don't think it necessarily falls within
Really?
what I need to be doing. It's also not what I know. And I also look at our business community as a very diverse group of people.
Right.
And we have Republicans, like right-wing,
Right.
nutty Republicans,
Right.
and we have left-wing crazy liberals,
Right.
and a whole bunch of people in between.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to represent them and their businesses.
How closely do you work with Betsy Bishop and the State Chamber? 'Cause
Quite closely.
you're different entities, and I think a lot of people don't understand that. Betsy has really no authority or anything over individual chambers. They are separate entities.
Right, and they do, and I'm glad you brought them up, because I went to my first Vermont Association of Chamber Executives meeting
Oh, nice.
within the last month or so, and I was really impressed at what that organization does.
Right.
And I must admit, I was kind of dreading it at first, and then I went there, I'm like, wow, this is actually really a dynamic
Well, it's
group
good
of
to
people.
get to know your peers too.
For
what they're
sure.
doing.
And it's interesting, and there's, you have again, talking about diversity, you have your Lake Champlain Regional Chamber of Commerce and, all their employees, and you have the State Chamber of Commerce on that end. And then you have all these little tiny, mom and pop, little literally roadside stands, visitor information booths. And they're both chambers of commerce, and, again, and we're sort of in the middle. And it's really interesting
She has
to
some
learn.
great programs.
She does, and there's also a lot, and they do a lot of legislative
Yeah,
work.
right. They're always up there. That's true.
And so what I'm finding is that I think I'm going to have to defer to them, and and they've reached out to me, and saying and wanting to meet with our members, and so
Yeah.
we're going to do those kinds of things,
That's great.
and try to get involved
Well,
from that
your issues,
perspective.
maybe the solution's a little different, but your issues are the same with every other chamber.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about housing. It's all about unemployment, and
Yeah.
it's.
I think
just
the other
Vermont.
issue that we hear talking about is, and I think maybe this is one that you probably don't hear as a big issue, but for our community it is. It's committing an investment to marketing in the state for tourism marketing.
Right.
And as I mentioned earlier, there's arguably not a better return on the investment than what we do in terms of marketing the state.
Which just it blows me away how relatively small our state tourism budget actually
It's
is.
embarrassing, actually.
Compared to what it actually brings in for the state. We don't spend a lot of money on
No,
that.
No, we
never
don't.
have. Never have.
And
I've listened to
yet-
arguments up there.
Not even arguably, we probably have the best brand of any state in the country, arguably. And we have the state has so much to work with.
Right.
And it's really a shame that we don't spend more money on it and look at it as a priority, because I think it's short-sighted, because if we invest in it, we're going to reap returns for years and years to
Right,
come.
right.
And when we talk about a state that's aging and we're trying to attract people here, we attract people here with tourism, and then they want to stay here. I mean, I came here to ski, and I stayed. And I didn't come here to become the director of the Chamber of Commerce.
I mean, that's a great point, because there are, and you can't argue that, there are a lot of issues affecting the future prosperity of our state and threatening that future prosperity for our state. And we need to come up with creative solutions and look at the resources available to us to address those, because Vermont could possibly start getting a reputation for just being an old state with bad water quality. That's a little extreme, but it's not outside the realm of possibility. So it would be great if people would listen to folks like yourself more often and say, use me as an example. Here's a perfect example of, if you want to solve the aging issue, show people what we have to offer.
I don't think if you were here when Matt Dodd, who's head of brand phopology, I said that wrong, sorry. He's out of Chittenden County. He presented with Heidi Sherman a bill to market Vermont, and not just the typical stuff, the cows and the entrepreneurship,
Absolutely.
all of the things that we do here, and I think he wanted some very small amount of money, but they wouldn't do it. And it was a great idea. It was marketing beyond the cows and the milk and the stuff, all the other unique things that we have here.
Yeah, and I'm not advocating going nutty with it either.
Yeah, right.
I mean, we are a small state. We have 600,000 people. We can't spend what New York spends. We can't spend what California spends. There's no way we can do that.
Right.
But if we're smart about it and we're nimble and we use our size to our advantage, that there are so many possibilities that we can do. And I don't see that happening. And I've been watching it for years.
Right.
And it's frustrating to lose something like Vermont Life that has such brand equity.
Yeah.
And to not utilize that brand is, it really bothers me to see that.
Yeah.
Well, and something that I talk about personally all the time is we need to get beyond this concept of who is a real Vermonter. I mean, you've probably been here long enough. I was born and raised here, and all the time, like, this is a real. This person's a real Vermonter, or this makes you a real Vermonter.
Jersey guy.
But when you start talking about things in terms of if they're real or not, that by definition puts the focus on things that don't fit that conventional definition. If we really want to grow as a state and start accepting, communities that are made of a diverse group of people with a diverse group of background, we need to make sure that as a state, as a whole state, we're accepting everybody as a real Vermonter. And that, I think, would spread a lot towards making people feel more welcome and open to saying, hey, yeah, sure, maybe I'm not from Vermont and don't have that 7 generations to count me as a real Vermonter, but I would love to come live here.
No, and I think that's one of the things that I've noticed, in the Valley, is that I think there's a tremendous amount of respect that goes both ways, and I don't feel, but I have not often felt that I was looked down upon because I'm a guy from New Jersey.
No, right.
And they might joke around about it, and especially when I worked at Mad River Glen, and I was one of the few non-native Vermonters that worked there.
Right.
And they would not miss an opportunity to bust my rocks about it, but I'm good-natured about it, and vice versa.
Right.
But I think there's a lot of respect that goes both ways. I think that a lot of the old-timers, I think of guys like Tom Mahuron, that owns Mahuron Supermarket, and it's a multi-generation owning that business. And how well respected he is by the vast majority of our business community. And I know that he really respects what I did at Mad River and what I'm doing at the Chamber. And the Paul Hartshorns of the world and people like that, that there's, there's respect that goes back and forth, and the Von Trapps and the DeFriest family farm and all these farms that are there, we value them. I don't know anything about farming, and I wouldn't know how to milk a cow. I think I could figure it out at this point. But I know that they respect me, and I know that they know that in my mind that my heart is in helping our community, and the same goes the other way. And having that diversity, which isn't always the diversity that people think of, but it's really nice to have that diversity, and I feel like the Mad River Valley can really be an example for a lot of the rest of the state in some ways, because we sort of have it naturally.
That's great.
And I do feel like we'll work together, and I think that's one of the things that statewide be nice to see more of as well.
I just want to be a raisinette. You know what that is?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
I think
I
you might be
to
Cabin
be a
Fever Follies.
Yes. The woman that ran it was in the waiting room at the hospital, just my husband and her husband. And I started talking. I said, I want to be a raisinette. And she wrote it down, but I didn't hear from her. So I'm going to try. It's a long story, but.
Yeah, but the Valley Players is our local theater group, which is amazing. And every year in March, they have what's called Cabin Fever Follies. And it's basically a talent night.
And all these people get dressed up as raisins using big garbage bags and funky socks.
Yeah, the Raisinets dance in between acts.
And
That's
they hold up signs of
who's next. And
the audience has written signs, and they walk around with the signs.
That's right. It's a fundraising.
Yeah, it's a fundraiser.
That's right.
So, anyway, I just want to be a raisinette. So if you see that lady, tell her she missed out.
It's not too late.
No, and again, when you start talking about it, I'm really glad you brought the Valley Players up, because one of those things is
great.
The productions that they put on are such high quality, and you don't realize the talent that we have in this town.
Yep.
I mean, legitimately, nationally known people, and when you go to Harwood Union High School and I defy anyone to go to a musical at Harwood Union High School. You will be blown away by the quality, and it's because of the staff there, and it's it's like the Oklahoma football team. every year there's a new band. They're not rebuilding the program every year. They just reload it. And it's incredible.
Yeah,
and the Valley Players is such a great example of what we have in such a little town.
That's a great evening where it just brings in everybody. I like it. See, I know the Valley. I'll be raising it. It's gonna be right on my resume. That's it.
You'd make a great raisin, Eric.
Yeah.
You'd fill out that bag nice.
Yeah, we could go and co-sponsor the evening from Campaign for Vermont.
I do a darn good box step. I can.
There you go.
There you go. You have to pep it up a little bit. But under this great thing here, I guess it's what do you call this? Just an outline, the
whole flow chart.
The whole flow chart. That's the word I was looking for. But it's got tactics. I think you've really drilled down.
They went really minute
here.
detail. I'm not into the detail that Jasmine was quite into.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do work. We got a lot going on.
Because you've got a marketing plan.
Yeah.
Now, did these same people, when they were doing the strategic plan, they just went right? Did you have some help with that?
I think Jasmine at the time, Jasmine and Ginger was the ones that fleshed out the full marketing plan. I know with the help of the board. And then when I came in, that's really my forte is marketing. So I really took a good critical look at that marketing plan. And tried to adjust how we're going about doing things. And
you've got people you could tap into that are professionals as well. Up at Sugarbush, and I'm sure Mad River's got the.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a ton of talent in the community. But what I learned at Mad River, at Mad River Glen, was that you didn't need to spend a lot of money on marketing. And if you have a good, compelling story, and you have a good brand, and you work that well, you don't have to spend big dollars on it. And the best kind of advertising is word of mouth. And if you can develop that word of mouth and be creative. So we've been trying to be really creative. For me, I'm really focusing on social media content and developing good, compelling stories about our community. And doing them in digital format, whether they be in blogs, whether it be in social media, whether it be in videos, whatever. We're trying to do that in a really good, positive way, and that's what I'm focusing on.
You've got a list of events that are just staggering. Yeah. Are you involved in any of them directly, or you just help promote them?
That's a really good question, because I think that there's always a push within chambers and marketing organizations, whether you're going to be a promotional organization or a sponsoring organization, in terms that you put events on. And our chamber has vacillated over the years. And these days, with the budget how it is, we are not an event-producing organization. We are a marketing organization. That's what we do, and that's what we very clearly say that.
Because I was looking and said they don't have enough people for this.
No, but there's so much going on in our valley, and we try to incubate events that are going to be positive and that have long-term value. So there's events like the Green Mountain Stage Race, the bike race, which is in the first week of September every year. We have the Mad Marathon that happens. All these are examples of events that were developed and promoted and put on by folks that are really interested in that particular field. The Chamber's job is to help support them, help them get sponsorship money, help them work with the local community to make it all viable, help them to schedule it so it fits in well with what's going on with the rest of the community. So that's what we try to do. We're more of a connector and a promoter, so that they don't have to worry about the promotion of their events so much. We'll take care of that as part of what we do. But I'm really glad you asked that question, because that's a really important distinction that needs to be made. And again, but there's some people, there's more than some people will say, but you look at Stowe and it's great. They have an events every other weekend, and they have this car show and this thing and whatever. I said, yeah, that is something that we would love to be able to do at some point too. But we don't have the horses. We need more membership. We need more support. I hear you. I think it's a great idea, but we're going to have to wait until we have more resources to do it.
Right. Well, the Valley is just, I love the Valley. Awesome.
Yeah, I've been trying to get there a little more frequently with some friends that live there.
What's great is it's really centrally located, and the road going through Moortown and going, you can get there
Oh, yeah.
Because we go to the farmers market a lot, which I love, but it's not that big a deal to get there.
No, and I think it's funny. I think people think of us as kind of a remote place, but it's really not. I mean, you're 10 miles off the highway. It's
Lovely
not too
ride,
far.
Route 100.
It is.
our
It's beautiful. It's
our
a scenic byway.
That's right.
So you have some rather tantalizing language in this, where
gosh.
it talks about secret places and special experiences.
Oh, I saw that. I
Yeah.
was going to ask. Thank you.
Care to
You know what that
tantalize the
means?
audience
Well, I
a little
could
bit?
tell.
with
I could
maybe
tell
an
you that,
example or a
but then I'd
couple?
have to kill you. You know.
Oh, who do we know?
Well, let's tease the audience a little bit.
Well, I think one of the challenges about the Mad River Valley is our geography. And if you drive Route 100 from the south to the north or either direction, you're only going to see a small portion of it, and you're not seeing all of it. The valley is not one town. We have neighborhoods. You know, we have Warren Village, we have Irisville, we have Waitsfield Village, Bridge Street, we have Middlesex, and all the great stuff that's going on at Red Hen and Middlesex over there.
God, I love
the
that
little
place.
village of I live in Moortown. Our little village in Moortown.
Yeah.
You know, there's not a lot of businesses there, but there's some cool little things there. And I think with the people that live there, or you sort of take it for granted, like what those little hidden places are. Sure, everyone knows Warren Falls, and everyone's like, oh yeah, you got to go swimming at Warren Falls.
Right.
But there's 12 other
Yep.
great swim holes that
Exactly.
the local kids don't go to Warren Falls. It's too crowded. You know, they know where to go, and you tell a tourist, like, go check out Moortown Gorge. Go behind the town hall in Moortown and go check that out. And they'll be like, oh my, they literally will come back to the visitor center the next day and say, thank you so much for showing me that. Like, that place
Right.
is so cool.
Right.
So it's things like that. There are a million hikes in the Mad River Valley. There are so many trails between the Mad River Path and the Long Trail and
Could you
the
stop for a
Catamount
sec?
Trail.
Where is the path that you were talking about? Is there one in town?
Yeah, it's the Mad River Path.
Yeah.
And Ross Sexton, who you're childhood friends with, right?
And yep,
Yeah.
since high school.
He just became the new executive director of the Mad River Path, and the Mad River Path is a group of a bunch of paths within the valley. The goal ultimately is to connect them all.
Oh, perfect.
And it's really amazing, and I think it's really cool in that I think that the Mad River Path, in a lot of ways, the analogy that the Mad River Path is to the Mad River Valley, what the Stowe Path is
Yeah.
to the Stowe
Right.
to the
Connects
town of
everything.
Stowe. Theirs is bigger, it's paved, it's well marketed, it's all of those things. The Valley Path, it's kind of hard to find sometimes, and you have to work at it.
But that's
the
that's
charm
a draw
of it.
for a lot of
Right.
people.
Exactly.
Right.
And I know that the path caters to multiple types of recreation,
Yes.
where they have certain areas specifically for mountain biking.
Yep.
And
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, all of the Mad River Path stuff is open to anything that's non-motorized, but the Mad River Riders group, which is the mountain bike, the biking group, the mountain and road bikers group in the valley, they've developed a whole network of trails. But what's awesome about the valley is that they collaborated with the Mad River Path. They collaborated with the Mad River Planning District. They collaborate with the Mad River Chamber of Commerce. That we all work together to promote these and build these trails as one system. And what's so great about that is that those trails, like the bike trails, actually you're fine to go hiking there, and they're very welcome. So all of those organizations over time have put aside their egos and whatever it is, the baggage that they brought with them, and they said, we're going to
Right.
do this whole trails collaborative, and we're going to inventory all of the trails in the valley, and we're going to create a map.
Awesome.
And we're not only going to do all this, and then I walked into this, and I didn't know it was happening, but I came into it, and they branded everything with this logo on it.
Nice.
They didn't have the Mad River Path logo. They didn't have the Mad River Riders logo. They did it under the auspices of the Mad River of the Mad River Valley generally, because they saw that brand equity
Right.
and the unity that we're talking
Right.
about. That was the culmination of what we're trying to
Nice.
do in that strategic plan was acted out with that Trails Collaborative. And I hold that up as an example of what can be done. One of the things, when I was so excited, when I got started in this job, one of the things that I wanted to do was, that sense of place about the Mad River Valley. And it's like, there's no place, if you're a visitor here, there's no place that says, welcome to the Mad River Valley. And, and when I was on the board 10, 12 years ago, that was something I wanted to see. So when I came on board as executive director of the chamber, I'm like, one of the things I'm going to work on is getting signage, and I really want to work on that. That's something I'm going to do. Third day on the job, I get an email from a guy at the Rotary Club, the Mad River Valley Rotary Club, and he says, hey, I want you to check out this sign that we're working on, and before we go into production on it, I want to make sure you guys are okay with it. So I opened up the attachment, and there's this big, beautiful
Say welcome.
sign that says, welcome to the Mad River
perfect.
Valley, with this logo on it.
Awesome.
And I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? And I called the guy, I got on the phone, I said,
Literally a dream come
right.
true.
I'm like, I said, what is this? He's like, well, the Mad River Valley Rotary, which is an amazing organization, does
Right.
so much for so many people. They said they saw the need, and they went
Cool.
and did it. And they took the gift that the chamber gave to this community 15 to 20 years ago was that logo. And they took it, they weren't asked to take it, they recognized it,
Great.
and ran with it.
Excellent.
And I'm like, wow, that goal
Well,
that
that
I
was
wanted
easy. What's
is
next?
all done. And then they went and hired Wood and Wood Signs, which is which is right in town.
Right.
Sparky
Right,
Potter,
right.
Grace Potter's dad, who owns the
cool.
company, and has been running that place forever. This great local company that does sign work all over the country, and does Disney World and places like that.
Wow.
And we have these
Yeah, right.
beautiful signs. They did the Trail Collaborative signs as well.
That's right.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So again, we have that talent, and people are like, they're getting it.
Right.
Like, I don't have to tell them. Like, they're getting it because of what we're doing. Everything's kind of snowballing, and there's all this positivity. And like, not to blow smoke up everyone, but I'm like, everything's all happy and wonderful here in Happy Valley, because clearly it's not. I mean, there's warts and there's issues and
Right.
there's things like that. But what I see and what's so exciting about it is that there's so much momentum, and people want to preserve the good parts of the valley. They recognize that some of the things that have slowed down growth over years have been a good thing. And while it might have been frustrating at the time, we've been left with this amazing place that isn't messed up.
Well, and look, where were you when Irene hit the valley? 'Cause
I was in
that
Milton. Yeah.
was with the where you are now is exactly what got hit the worst, right?
Yeah,
Right
it
by
did.
the covered
I mean, I
bridge.
lived in Moortown. I mean, I live in Moortown,
Yeah.
and our little village was devastated.
Yeah,
And again, I look back from the perspective. I can't believe how long it's
No,
been now.
exactly.
It's
Well,
been
it's a lot of resilience from Vermonters.
and I look at like how that brought our community together.
Right.
It really did. I mean,
Yeah.
I get choked up thinking about
Yeah.
it to this day. Seeing my kids when they were, I don't know, 10, 12 years old, mucking out basements. Like,
Nice.
it was
Yeah,
awesome.
It did. We had that in Berlin, and everybody, we were there cleaning up, and it was really cool to see people you hadn't seen in a while.
Yeah, and it's
it,
nice.
And it stayed
they're
for a
so
long time.
appreciative.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that it did too was in going to see what's going on in Waterbury. And, if you would have said 10 years ago or after Irene that, oh, don't worry, Waterbury's going to be okay, and there's going to be all these new restaurants, and there's going to be these breweries opening, and you would have said we were nuts. And that community has come back.
Oh, for sure.
And then some.
Yep.
And it's awesome to see. And and I think it's brought the Harwood community together. I know that when Karen Nevin from Revitalize Waterbury
Oh,
called
for
me up,
sure.
boom, I
Yeah,
called her.
right.
Called her right back, like, hey, let's work together.
Yeah.
Like, we're all in this together. And the same
good.
with the new executive director of Stowe Area Association. I got to meet her, and
Yeah.
we want to work
That's great.
collaboratively. We're all in this
Now,
together.
you have something, speaking of Harwood, you have something in the valley to put stars and to really light up the valley.
Yeah.
What is that initiative? Is that from
it
you
started.
or just from a group?
No, well, and it started out. Some business owners on Bridge Street came up with the idea of lighting up the stars,
Right.
and it was kind of a grassroots sort of a thing, and it got popular, and people started putting them up all over
Right.
the place.
Right.
Then when we had the accident,
Right, that's what I knew that
Yeah.
started. When
And-
the 5 kids
Yeah.
got killed, there was a lot of those 5-star
Yeah.
stars being put up all over the valley.
right? So the stars kind of took on a new sort of added meaning, and
Yeah.
I get very emotional. But
No,
my
I
son
can
was
see,
in
I'm
that
sorry.
class.
Oh,
and
dear.
yeah.
I can't. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to,
No,
to do
it's-
that, but it's.
But
No,
it
it's
really
a very
is-
meaningful thing for
Yeah.
me. It's a very meaningful thing for my family and
Yeah.
my friends. And it's and when I see those stars, I think of those kids.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Well,
And-
and
it's
it's
just
great that they do that.
I mean, I think that's one of the things that makes kind of that small town so unique and powerful of an experience is that people can come together and relate together, and suddenly those minor differences don't matter anymore, and you're just neighbors, and you're just
Yeah.
community members, and
Because
you're
either
just
you
Vermonters.
you either knew the kids or you knew people who knew the kids, and it was all just all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really something. So you have 2 minutes left. This went very quickly. Anything you want to talk about that we haven't touched on, or to encourage people to go to your website?
Yeah, I will absolutely. I'll
Or
throw that
join
out
the
there for
chamber.
sure. Is MadRiverValley.com is our website.
Yeah.
And there's 2 parts of it. There's 2 sides of it. There's the visitor side, and then there's the business side of it. And
right.
you'll always notice up in the right-hand corner, you can toggle between back and forth between the 2 of them. So, I guess what I would like to say, because most people that might be watching this are from Vermont, is to really encourage Vermonters to come to the Mad River Valley and check it out. I mean, we really, we love having visitors from out of town and people from New York and Boston and all over the world. I mean, we just went through a whole foliage season,
Right.
and I am blown away by where people come from. I mean, it never ceases to amaze me. And I got a call or one guy came in, and he was from southern Mississippi, and I was like, how'd you end up here? He's like, well, that's why I came in. I wanted to tell you. He's like, you have that webcam on the website, it's basically of the covered bridge in Waitsfield.
Yep.
He's like, we look at that thing every day. And he's like, I've never been to Vermont, and I wanted to go there. And we came, and they ended up staying up in Burlington. But he's like, we wanted to come here. This is the first place we came to because I wanted to see that covered bridge.
Wow.
And I'm like,
Nice.
of all the other covered bridges in
Yeah.
Vermont, you wanted to see that one. I'm like, which is great. And he was like, who knew, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So people come from all over to come to our little slice of heaven. And Vermonters need to understand that there are beautiful places right in your backyard. I go up to the Northeast Kingdom with my wife hiking up all the time, and I go down to southern Vermont. I mean, I love going down to like Grafton Village, places like that. There are so many great places, Calvin Coolidge Homestead. I mean, I can go on and on the places I like going Vermont touring.
Right.
Come to the valley. There's so much. There's great shopping. There's great dining. There's really interesting people. There's beautiful scenery. There's great skiing. There's great hiking.
Good fishing.
There's
Good
great
fishing,
fishing.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Good hunting in places,
Good hunting.
from what I understand.
Yep.
I just hunt for bargains, but
That's my kind of guy.
No,
Yeah,
there's
but there's-
great deer, great grouse.
yeah, and I
Really? In
think
the valley?
Oh yeah.
And above all, I think we just have really interesting people and really great stories and a great community, and encourage Vermonters
Excellent.
to come discover
Great way
it.
to end the show. Thank you very much, Eric. Thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it. We'll see you next week. And in the meantime, keep listening beyond the sound bites.